Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Friday night, early Friday evening, studentloanjustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. I'm the founder of studentloanjustice.org. We're glad that you found us. If you're new to the group, we are the oldest, largest, and really only true citizens group legitimately fighting for student loan justice. The first 15 years of our existence, that meant, very moderately, returning bankruptcy protections to student loans. Every loan in this country has the same uniform bankruptcy coverage as every other loan, but student loans have been uniquely stripped of this protection. That's terrible. It lies at the heart of this injustice. But folks, I'm here to tell you it is now too late. The lending system is failed, and these loans need to be canceled. This lending system is toast. It's done. Put a fork in it. It's finito. Now, the only question is whether this is going to have a good outcome or a bad outcome. The good outcome is that the swamp creatures, Congress, and the president in Washington, D.C. recognize this failed, nationally threatening, unconstitutionally vicious, and predatory lending system for what it is and cancels the loans, or they don't. And we see continued oppression, conquering, and I would say enslavement of the citizens under this ridiculous, outrageous, hyperinflated debt. We don't want that bad outcome, folks. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't have to happen that way. The numbers are on our side. There are 55 million people in the country with student loans or who are co-signed on them. 44 million of those 55 million will likely never be able to repay their loans. They're either in default, they're in forbearance, deferment, or they're otherwise delinquent, unable to pay. And this is all before the coronavirus, by the way. Obviously, almost nobody's paying right now. But even just before the coronavirus, that was the case. Or they were paying and paying and paying, and their balance was going up. So if you're new to the group, stick around for a while, and some of the stories you see will make your jaw drop. Maybe your story is jaw-dropping. But the point is, we have started a petition on change.org. Change.org, right here. Check it out. Change.org/cancel student loans, very easy to remember. And I am happy to report that as of right now, we have like 565,000 signatures on this petition. Let me just get it. Okay. Perfect. Take a screenshot. Take a picture. So, yeah. This has to happen, folks. We have now, roughly 600,000 people. That is a nice muscle to flex. But I just told you all the tens of millions, 44 million people out there who are never going to be able to pay their loans. They're losing sleep over their loans. And oh, by the way, they vote. So I'm thrilled that you're here, but you have to go a little further. This is not a wait, watch happen and watch it happen and hope endeavor that we're engaged in here. This is a make it happen struggle. These are your loans. This is your problem. And after having done this for 15 years, I can tell you that it all starts with you. You have no idea how important you are. So if you forget everything I said tonight, remember this, and remember to spread this link everywhere you can. Make it a part-time job. Make it a full-time job if you're not working right now. Whatever it takes. We've got 2 months before the election, and I'm pretty happy to say that we're making great strides. So do that. A couple of announcements. We're still looking for maybe a couple more people from the Chicago area to do an interview about the petition. We're looking, well, we've got far more than enough for the other national story that we're working on, I think, at this point. But I will also say, 2 months left, folks. We need to boost this petition. So if you go to change.org, you can pay money to change.org, and I urge you to do that. Maybe not a lot of money, $25, which to me is a lot of money. Maybe to you it's not, but $25 is a good amount to pay to change.org to promote the petition. And apparently we get about a third of our signatures that way. So is it not worth $25 to you to get these loans gone? I mean, this is a very realistic possibility at this point, guys. We've been around for 15 years. We have been the cause of many pieces of legislation, including currently H.R. 2648, S1414 in the Senate that would return bankruptcy protection to student loans. But even going back to 2006, we were the reason for the Student Borrower Bill of Rights Act of 2007, 2008, and I think maybe even 2009. So we know how this works. We know how the politics work. And I can tell you with supreme confidence that this is now a failed lending system and that the bad guys, the student loan swamp, the people making money off of this program, they know it's failed. In fact, I think they're really stunned that they have been able to perpetuate this big government monstrosity as long as they have. So it's really up to us, folks. The ball is in our court. We can delete these loans by popular consent, with 44 of the 55 million people on our side, we can do a lot with that. But this group right here is the center of the universe on this fight. I'm not kidding you. I know that there's other places out there talking about loan cancellation. Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, even Kamala Harris, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, and others in Congress have been talking and sort of promoting their own student loan cancellation schemes. And I have to tell you, none of them, not one of them, will work. Congress, despite its great intentions, which is in itself an open question, but assuming they have good intentions, even the best intentioned legislation that Congress might pass to cancel student loans is doomed to fail. Because of the pay-go rules in Congress, they have to raise $1 and give that dollar to the Department of Education in order to cancel $1 of student loans. That's nonsense. It's just not going to happen. Congress is not going to raise $2 trillion. And even Joe Biden's plan to cancel student loans is lame. It's like up to $10,000. It's just, pardon my French, it's just bullshit. But even if it was like Bernie Sanders' plan to cancel every dollar of every student loan, Congress is not going to raise $2 trillion and then give that money to the Department of Education and the private lenders to cancel loans. Ain't going to happen. And even if that did happen, even still, the Department of Education has no desire, has never had any desire, has never had any intention of canceling loans, and has always had the intention of not canceling loans. So even if the stars aligned and we got the perfect piece of legislation through Congress to cancel all student loans, it would not happen. It just won't. The Department of Education doesn't do that. It's a big government scam. However, the good news, the great news, and why we are here and why you need to tell everybody you know with student loans about us is that the president, whether President Trump, Joe Biden, or whoever the next president happens to be, the president has the executive authority to cancel all federally owned student loans, and that's like 85% of all student loan debt, by executive order. He could do an executive order tomorrow, and with the stroke of his pen, all federally owned student loans, 85% of all loans, would be canceled. Not one penny would be transacted. Not $1 would change hands. Not one bill would have to pass Congress. Not one law would have to be signed. Not $1 of taxpayer money would have to be appropriated. And not one penny would be added to the national debt. There is no better way to stimulate the economy right now as we speak. And we do need stimulus. Trust me on that. All of us have seen what's happened. Sure, the stock market's come back, but 50 million people lost their jobs. I think only 9 million have gotten their jobs back at this point. And a lot of those jobs just ain't coming back, brother. So we need fiscal stimulus. This is a dead, failed lending system. And we are fighting the good fight, and you should be proud, not ashamed, to be joining us. This fight is not only for you and your loans. This fight is for the tens or hundreds of millions of people to follow in our footsteps. And the fact that we're the only group actually fighting this fight, I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of like the Twilight Zone. There is no other group out there actually fighting for the cancellation of student loans. And it's got to happen. It's got to. And by the way, we are also pushing for the return of bankruptcy protections to all the loans that will remain. So yeah, if you happen to live in Chicago and you want to be interviewed, send me an email, justice@studentloanjustice.org. Telephone, you don't need to call me. Just send me an email or PM me a little bit about yourself and maybe a few words about what you will do when the loans are canceled. That's another part of this particular story. And I'm happy to tell you that we're making great progress, by the way. We need more media coverage, and I hope that you will contact a news organization this weekend, if not 5. Send them an email, fill out their little form, their feedback form, or whatever the case may be. Some news stations have tip lines, whatever it takes. Don't do Twitter. Twitter really doesn't work for that. But contact a news organization and tell them to report on our petition. We've got 565,000 signatures. We should have tens of millions of signatures, and I'm not kidding you. And the media should help with that. So we've already been featured on like Fox News Radio and Minneapolis Progressive Radio. We've been interviewed by several national news organizations that you probably watch or read every day. So I'm hoping that a few stories, those will come out soon. We've been on Coast to Coast AM, national radio, a bunch of blogs, just a ton of stuff. We've done C-SPAN like twice. So we've done a lot of media, but we need to do more. Guys, this is kind of our oxygen. Your efforts to spread the petition around obviously are the most important, but the media should be our friend on this. And right now, we see the media just clogged with like 3 issues, and we just can't seem to get a break. But guys, I'm telling you, this issue, the student loan issue, will determine the next president. This is the wild west of politics. 44 million people are freaking out about their student loans. You show me any other issue. Show me healthcare, immigration, gun control, racial injustice. And I will show you an issue around which the partisan boundaries have been pretty well drawn, right? People kind of know where they fall in that spectrum. But with student loans, it is the wild, wild west. And 44 million freaked out student loan borrowers, 40% of whom are politically independent, by the way, a majority of whom are either independent or Republican, and also a majority of whom are either independent or Democratic. That's enough to turn a presidential election from a loss into a landslide, and vice versa. This is the best window of opportunity we have ever had to get these loans gone, folks. This is a big government scam. So conservatives should absolutely be on our side. This is a national threat. This is probably a worst example of the widening of the wealth gap in this country that I can think of. There is nothing that has contributed to wealth disparity, wealth, income inequality, whatever you might want to call it, than these predatory loans. So the Democrats should totally be on our side. So this is a bipartisan issue, guys. If you're a Republican, welcome. If you're a Democrat, welcome. If you're a Libertarian, welcome. If you just basically hate the government, which I think I probably fall into that category at this point, whether you're one party or another and both or neither, welcome. We are very glad you're here. We completely hold the power to solve this problem and get these loans gone. Now, we can do this in the right, shiny, happy, pretty way by the election if we really try. With 600,000 people in this group, if everybody puts even 20 minutes a day into this problem will be solved. Trust me. So again, guys, right now, this thing right here is the number one thing that you should be thinking about. When we can get 1 million signatures on this petition, I think that's kind of the magic number. You know, I think that's at the point where we will explode. You know, national media can't help but report on the petition. Hold on a minute. I'm about to run out of gas. Give me 1 second. I'm going to plug back in. By the way, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out now. I'm very happy to respond to them in situ. I can answer all the tough questions, and I'm happy to be grilled. You know, we've been sharpening this blade to a razor sharp point for years, and we are more than happy to answer all of the tough questions. Hold on a sec. Yeah, we're more than happy to answer all the tough questions. Bring them on. You know, what to say to the haters, for example. And believe me, we've talked to Democrats, Republicans, and everywhere in between. And we have won the argument 100% of the time. No true conservative can be against us. The people who are against us are fake conservatives, by and large. They go, oh, well, you know, when I went to college, I worked 3 jobs, I paid my own way, and you should pay your loans. Well, those haters in wagging their finger at us, and number one, they pretty much just don't like college students. When they think of college students, they think keggers and beer and spring break and irresponsibility and whatever. And that's just the psychological truth. But whatever. By them wagging their fingers at us, they are enabling the worst big government lending scam this country has ever seen before. And oh, by the way, they are completely enabling the flood of $100 billion in federal tax money to the colleges. Now, we don't hate the colleges. We don't like the colleges. Frankly, I'm very critical of the colleges, to be honest. But whether you like or hate the colleges, usually the people who wag their fingers at us do not like the colleges. They think the colleges are communist or socialist. They're indoctrinating our kids and all this stuff. 90% of the time, the people who hate on us feel that. They also hate Obamacare, by the way. And again, whether you like or hate Obamacare, it's not important. We take no position. But the fact of the matter is that $100 billion a year, and oh, by the way, the $60 or $70 billion a year in government profit, that's right, I said government profit on these loans that gets generated, some of that profit is used to fund Obamacare. And that $100 billion a year floods into the coffers of the colleges and universities. So anybody wagging their finger at you, throw those 2 little factoids, those little tidbits in their face. And I usually finish with saying, shame on you, you fake conservative. You think you're a conservative, but you're shilling for the worst big government monstrosity this country has ever seen. The colleges, you probably work for the colleges, I'm guessing. I say something like that. Rub it in their faces and tell them to turn in their conservative cards because they've been played. You know, that's the number one criticism that we get from the shitheads. And, you know, I know everybody out there is like, well, I did borrow the money. I should pay it back. Well, sure. Any money that you borrow, you should pay back according to its terms. That is a tautology. That's a true statement by default. There's nothing newsworthy there. Like every loan, like a credit card, like a boat loan, like a business loan, like a loan that you get from the mafia down the street if you happen to live in one of those rough areas. You borrow money, you should pay it back. But like every other loan out there, except for maybe the mafia loan, there are bankruptcy protections in place. This is not a bad borrower problem. This is a bad lending system. When it gets to the point where 80% of all the borrowers are completely, pardon my French, effed, I'm not even going to say it, you know what I mean, on these loans, that is proof. This is not a bad borrower problem. The borrowers have not changed over the years. They're probably even a little more responsible now than they were back in the 70s. But assuming they're about the same, and they are about the same, they haven't changed. What has changed is this big government unconstitutional lending scam. So if you feel bad about having your loans canceled, get over it. You know, quite frankly, if any of us pay another dime on certainly our federal student loans ever again, I say shame on you. I say not only is that unwise, that's unpatriotic. Don't feed this beast. And I'm sorry it's come to this. I really am. You know, we fought for very moderately just the return of the same bankruptcy protections that exist for every other type of loan in this country. For years, we fought for this. Congress failed us. The president failed us. Despite their sometimes nice, friendly-sounding words, they all failed us. And now, the lending system is failed. Don't pay another dollar into this failed, outrageous, nationally threatening, big government beast. Don't do it. If you feel bad, take whatever money you would have paid back into the student loan beast and use that money to maybe, I don't know, put a kid through college for no loans or something, or whatever you think is best. But by all means, don't feed this beast. It's time to take this lending system to the bathroom and drown it in the tub. And that's another thing you can say to conservatives, by the way, who like to wag their finger at us. And, you know, another thing that is very important to be aware of, people think of college students and they think, oh, protesters, snowflakes, hippies, liberals, communists, socialists. And that's just bullshit. Pardon my French. The fact of the matter is 60, if not 65% of all student loan borrowers are normal people. They are either, they're either, 40% of them are politically independent, 25% of them are Republican, and probably 35%, are Democrats. And by the way, most Democrats are not protesters out in the streets like all this stuff. All the nonsense stereotypes that the dense, fake conservatives out there have in their brains is just wrong. That's not the reality. We need to break through that. But anyways, folks, I'm going to leave it there at that. We're over 20 minutes now. Seeing no comments or questions. And hopefully you have not commented. Sometimes I can't see all the comments on Facebook, and I apologize for that. But the last thing I will say, folks, is, dudes, we've got 2 months. We've got 2 months to get this thing up to 1 million signatures or more. We could easily have 20, 30 million signatures on this petition, and it would help us tremendously. So do what you can. Call a news organization. Get 2 people you know to sign. That's the easiest thing you can do. Pay a little money to change.org. Paste the link to the petition everywhere you can think of. Volunteer to be interviewed. And as I said, by the way, you don't need to do an interview with whatever news organization you contact. We can do the interview. We're happy to do it. Give them our contact information, justice@studentloanjustice.org. Give them our phone number, 202-594-1120. We will answer all the tough questions. We're happy to do it. We're happy to do it. And we have people in every major media market in the country with student loans who is willing to be interviewed and who have sometimes horrifying but always very compelling stories to tell. So when you set them up, we will knock them down. The last thing I will say is, well, there's a lot I could say, but stay tuned, folks. It's getting hot and heavy. We have 2 months to go before the elections. Now is the time for you to step up, not shrink back, not wait, watch, and worry and hope. Prayers are great, but prayers and phone calls are what is also great. Phone calls, emails, getting your hands dirty, doing the hard, not even hard, doing the easy work, but it is a little bit of effort, that hundreds of people on this group are doing every day. You need to join them. You need to pull your weight. As corny as it may sound, the nation, the country, actually needs you on this. We don't want that bad outcome, folks. We don't want federal marshals rolling up on people's homes with no-knock warrants, for their defaulted student loans and taking them off into arrest. We don't want any of that stuff to happen. And it has already begun to happen, by the way. If you don't believe me, Google federal marshals arrest student loans like Texas or Houston. And you can see for yourself that that actually is happening. We don't want any of that nonsense. We got to get these loans gone for good. We're fighting the good fight. We're glad that you found us. But why not put a little more effort into it? You know, of all the energy you spend worrying, freaking out, paying into this ridiculous big government beast, all that energy, you should devote that energy to helping us instead. Because we are on the verge, as we speak, of becoming an unstoppable force. So are you in or are you out? You better be in, because we need you and you need us. So have a great weekend. Good luck. Godspeed. God bless. And let me just leave you with this one more time. Get this out there. Peace. Oh, and please donate if you can. StudentLoanJustice.org. Send in a donation if you possibly can. We survive only on donations from people like you, and we don't survive on much, but it's not nothing. Okay.